Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to completely unpack the fascinating mechanics of a classic moral fable, the lazy girl's story. Now, on the surface, sure, this might just sound like a simple children's tale. But when we actually break down the structure, it reveals a brilliantly designed narrative about action, consequence, and human behavior. We're going to use this time to map out exactly how this story constructs its moral universe, from the initial setup all the way to the ultimate payoffs. So here's the core question framing our entire analysis today. What happens when two people take the exact same journey, but with completely different attitudes? I want us to treat this fairy tale less like a bedtime story and way more like a psychological case study on cause and effect. You see, the story sets up this perfectly controlled environment to test this exact scenario, using two sisters as our test subjects to see exactly how attitude dictates outcomes. It's really an elegant social experiment, just wrapped up in folklore. Let's meet our two narrative foils. The inciting incident here is pretty urgent. Winter is coming fast, and their family's cupboards are completely empty. Someone has to venture out to find work so they can survive the cold. On one side, we have Lily. She's hardworking, she's kind, and she immediately promises her father she'll bring food home. But on the other side, we have her sister, Ivy. Ivy's immediate reaction to a literal life-or-death survival situation, she absolutely refuses to ruin her perfect dress with dirt. Priorities, right? They are complete opposites, which sets the stage perfectly for this experiment to kick off. So Lily packs her bag and heads out into the woods. But here's the twist. The woods in this story aren't just some simple path between point A and point B. No, they're actually a hidden testing ground disguised as nature. As Lily steps out to find work, she's completely unaware that her every single move is about to be evaluated by magical eyes. She thinks she's just walking to find a job, but in reality, she's already entered the testing arena and the watchers are waiting. Now, what's really interesting is how methodically the story lays out its trials. Lily doesn't just face one big, scary monster to defeat. Instead, she faces three distinct chronological tests of empathy. First, she encounters the thirsty tree. Next, she finds the broken well. And finally, she comes across the muddy puppies. Each of these entities is in distress, and each one presents this quiet, unassuming opportunity for Lily to either step up and help or just walk away. Let's look at exactly how Lily responds to these tests. When the tree says its roots are burning and it hasn't had a drink in days, Lily doesn't even hesitate. She immediately gives it water, bringing it right back to life. Then, when the well asks for help with its falling stones, she literally stops her journey to carefully fix them, making the well strong again. And finally, when the puppies are stuck in sticky mud, she wades right in, pulls them out, and washes them clean. What is absolutely crucial here is her lack of calculation. She explicitly notes that dirt washes off easily, and she's just genuinely glad to help. It is pure, uncalculated kindness. Because her heart is proven pure by these three empathy tests, Lily is invited to work at the Crystal Palace. But hey, the trials aren't over just yet. The Madam of the Palace gives her one very specific, exceptionally strict rule. Clean 6 rooms perfectly, but never open the 7th door. This right here is the ultimate test. We're not testing kindness anymore. This is a profound test of restraint, obedience, and work ethic in the face of some serious temptation. And how does Lily handle this ultimate test? Well, she bites her curiosity daily. She doesn't just work for one day and demand a prize. No, she works incredibly hard as a servant for weeks, cleaning those 6 rooms perfectly and completely ignoring that forbidden 7th door. And the result? Because she was honest and true to her word, the madam rewards her ultimate obedience. She's finally granted permission to enter the 7th room, where she finds an absolute treasure trove of magical gold. But wait, the story doesn't end at the palace. The journey home is where we see the concept of karmic payback beautifully illustrated. As Lily retraces her steps back through the woods, the very entities she previously helped now shower her with treasures as a massive, enthusiastic thank you. The puppies give her beautiful pearls. The well gives her warm, delicious hot apple pies. And the tree, the one she watered when literally no one else would, gives her bright red apples. She returns home an absolute hero, bringing wealth, abundant food, and pure joy to her family. Of course, this triggers the second half of our narrative experiment. When Lily returns with all this wealth, Ivy's reaction isn't exactly happiness for her family. Oh no, it's intense, bitter jealousy. She literally says, "I deserve that gold more than you." Shifted entirely by greed, Ivy sets off for the Crystal Palace, motivated solely by the desire to replicate her sister's journey and return even richer. The delusion here is honestly incredible. She even arrogantly declares to her family that she's gonna come back a queen. And this brilliantly illustrates the contrasting data in our case study. Ivy faces the exact same 3 tests as Lily, but she fails them miserably, all because of her vanity and entitlement. When the dying tree asks for water, she actually scoffs. She calls it a dry, ugly stick and flat out refuses to waste her water. When the well asks for help, she complains she just did her nails and absolutely will not touch dirty rocks. And those crying puppies? She looks down at them, calls them filthy things, and worries they'll ruin her shoes. She fails the empathy test spectacularly, totally blind to the fact that she's being evaluated. So Ivy finally reaches the Crystal Palace, totally eager to just grab the treasure. Let's contrast their approaches here. We know Lily followed the rules and cleaned meticulously for weeks. Ivy, on the other hand, sees that glowing purple 7th door and instantly thinks, why work? I'll just go inside instead. She haughtily declares that cleaning is for servants, assumes the gold is just hiding in there waiting for her, and breaks the core rule immediately. It is a fatal lack of restraint. Well, you really can't cheat the system in a moral fable. Ivy's immediate, painful consequence for trying to grab the gold without putting in the work is incredibly swift. She rips open the door, and instead of magical gold raining down on her, a massive swarm of furious, stinging bees attacks. They aggressively chase her all the way down the hall and completely out of the palace. Her big dream of unearned wealth instantly turns into painful, swelling regret, and she's banished for breaking the rule and doing zero work. So the crucial point is perfectly mapped out right here. Think of this as the narrative math of our explainer. Look at how beautifully balanced this equation is. For the thirsty tree, Lily's effort equals red apples, while Ivy's selfishness equals lifted branches and absolutely nothing. At the broken well, Lily gets hot apple pies, Ivy demands pancakes and gets nothing, because the well only gives to kind hearts. The muddy puppies give Lily pearls, but Ivy gets nothing. And finally, at the Crystal Palace, Lily's restraint equals magical gold, while Ivy's greed equals bee stings. The formula is practically unbreakable. Effort plus empathy equals reward, while selfishness and laziness equal punishment. The resolution of the story really hammers the theme home. Ivy, who set out to be a literal queen without so much as ruining her dress, returns completely empty-handed. She is a mess, covered from head to toe in bee stings and full of regret. And what does Lily do? Does she gloat? Say, I told you so? No way. Lily demonstrates ultimate unconditional forgiveness. She welcomes her sister back and immediately treats those bee stings with the exact same trademark kindness she showed to the tree, the well, and the puppies. Which brings us to the core definition of the fable's true treasure. It isn't the magic gold, and it's not the pearls from the puppies. True treasure is the kindness you show to others, your honesty, and your effort. Laziness and greed, they never bring true success. Hard work, kindness, and stepping up to help others, those are the real mechanics that make a person loved, respected, and truly rich on the inside. That is the fundamental takeaway from this source material. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought directly inspired by Lily and Ivy's distinct journeys. In the real world, our tests don't always look like talking trees or muddy puppies. Sometimes they look like an extra project at work, a friend who desperately needs a favor when we're exhausted, or a shortcut that seems really, really tempting. So when faced with your own hidden tests disguised as everyday life, which path will you choose? Are you going to put in the effort or look for the shortcut? Think about that as you go about your day. Thanks for diving into this analysis with me, and keep learning.